Right then, so this session we're gonna be talking about self-harm, and in particular self-harm cutting, because lots of self-harm are on the increase, but loads of teenagers are self-harming at the moment as a means of coping with difficult feelings usually.
Yes.
So we were just going to have quite an honest chat of what that's like as a mum.
What do I want to say? I want to say that something like this doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual increase of a child becoming into a more and more difficult situation, unable to manage their emotions, and whatever is happening to them at that moment is just begins to weigh them down. You don't just wake up one day and decide to self-harm. You don't wake up one day and be anorexic. You don't just wake up. It's a gradual decline.
But very often as parents we don't actually notice the decline until they're actually cutting themselves.
Yes.
Because actually what we know about teenagers is they can be quite moody, they can be quite hormonal, they can hide away in their bedroom, so you know what, it's not very often very easy to spot the signs, and especially if you're busy working and your life's quite fast. So
that was my shock. That was my shock with it having, happened to a child of mine. That going from something that you thought was manageable to suddenly it tipping into another realm was very difficult, because at that time I was dealing with my own stuff.
When we haven't, I mean there was some self-harm when I was at school, but not very much. And it's, I imagine, like really shocking when you find out that your child has been self-harming. It's almost like kind of, I think for some it can be quite unbelievable from parents that I've spoken to. It's just like, what on earth is going on here?
Absolutely.
How could they even be contemplating doing something like that?
It's shocking, because it can go from just what appears to be, scratches, to something that really needed stitches. There was times there was blood everywhere, in bed, couldn't walk. It was it got very serious.
Once it started.
Very scary. Yeah. Very scary that you see. It's going to make me cry. See the sadness and the desperation of your child. Yeah. It's awful, and you're powerless as a parent. Yeah. You think, what have I done wrong, sweetheart? I love you with every fibre of my being. How can you not feel that? How can you not feel that support? And bless them, they're just lost. Lost, and to try and reach them when they're in that place, because they just got used to being sad. They would listen to sad music, would only want to watch sad things. If there was any humour or anything pleasant or happening, didn't want to be involved in that. But in this bubble.
So you get sucked into. It's a bit like depression. You get sucked into a void, and anything outside of that just seems really not real almost.
Yeah, it was. It was
it's like unless I'm in this really dark place, everything else was not kind of real and a bit superficial almost.
Yes.
So they need to be connected into this really dark place, and that's the habit of it.
Yes.
So
yes, and I think like I said, it started. As something like, attention seeking, what's that all about? I was very angry, a bit flippant, a bit, Yeah,
and that's what most, lots of parents say. They feel almost furious.
Yes, was furious.
I've done all of this for you, and look what you're doing. I think that we can get quite in touch with our own kind of shame.
Yes.
So the other thing is, we don't really want to talk to anybody else about it, because we're embarrassed that our child is the one that's cutting themselves.
And I'm lucky, because I'm not like that, am I?
No.
If I have a problem, I will talk about it. I will say, hello. Yeah.
And that's why we were talking on that last thing that we did, that your friendships are so important, because if you're having to deal with that on your, can you imagine having nobody to speak to about that?
I know.
When you're feeling those conflicting emotions, all that anger towards your child, and then once you've kind of that's normalised because you speak to your friends, and your friends say, no, I would feel the same. I'm sure I would feel the same.
Yes.
But actually this isn't about you or your parenting at this point.
No.
This is all about the child. So we need to get ourselves sorted to make sure that we're grounded.
Yes.
Get rid of all our shitty feelings so that we can then concentrate on what's really going on for.
It was massive. I think at that time that was what you saw me and my family heading down a route that was very dangerous for all of us, and it was a massive wake-up call for me. And I decided, I dealt with it very strongly in respect of everything stopped. There was no socialising. I didn't do anything other than look after the family. I stayed in and tried to be the best version of myself, so she couldn't, there wouldn't be any, well, you don't do that, you off do this. I tried to be
really focused. Well, you were, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were really focused. You were it was like the tipping edge. Suddenly, oh my gosh, there is a real problem here.
Yeah.
And I need to sort it because I'm the parent here, and I'm
the
only parent.
I'm the only parent here.
In the house.
Yeah.
Because your husband's not there, so I need to take control of myself.
Yeah.
And take control of what's going on here.
It was hard because there was a lot of violence. Smashing up things. It got very, very stressful, very loud, very aggressive. It was not a good place, and that was another kind of realisation of how I had to be. I was expecting something awful. That's what I got. I was expecting violence. That's what I got. I was expecting it to be difficult. That's what I got. And then when I had to then start to imagine better things, I had to start, and that was hard. On that journey of changing,
because not only is your child in that place, you become into a bubble then.
Yeah.
And it feels so hopeless because what you want to do is go stop.
Yeah.
Stop that, and let's do something nice. This is how you enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And then when your child is not stopping that, and actually still watching stuff that's upsetting and staying in that void, you feel so hopeless. And that's. If you're feeling hopeless, then that projection to the child is hopelessness.
To look after you. She said you were upset.
Oh no, I'll look after you.
You are gorgeous. I love you. She said, I want to come sit with you. You're a little pest, you know that, darling. Yes, and then as well, I realised that I needed help and support, so I went for counselling. And when it got very, very serious, I was able to get my child in for counselling, and then allowed me to be a mom and not have to counsel her and be a mom, and that was a massive help.
I think particularly when you're on your own and you've got no support from a partner, and you're then having to be really kind of grounded when you're feeling lost and vulnerable. It's really important that you get help, because actually the most important person to get help is probably the parent.
Yeah, I needed. Thankfully I had you.
Yes.
And that's what we say about friends. And at times when I thought it wasn't working and there was no progress, you would say there is. You noticed that there was the progress when I was expecting it to be back and more fluid.
Yes.
You would go, it is working.
Be really patient, because it goes and then it can go back again, because it's a habit to get out of as well. So it's a difficult habit to get out of.
And that's what it was. It was, on reflection, even my daughter would say, it's gone from, she'd feel, this is where I feel happy in this sad place. And then happiness would be, oh, that's a bit wobbly, I'll go back to the sad. And then the realisation of actually, I like being happy. I want to stay here. And then accepting when sadness did come, that it didn't pull her right back to that depth. So sometimes even now, she will touch on loss or things that are hard for her to handle, and she's very sensitive to sad things. But now she's able to sit with her feelings, allow that to process, and to bring some kind of reality check to it. It doesn't pull her back
She doesn't get stuck in it.
No,
she knows it can be passing and it can complete, and actually it's okay not to be frightened of the sad feelings because they move on to a different feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, that when you're in it, you want to stay in that feeling because it's familiar.
It was definitely. But the counselling was really good for her. For you as well, there's difficult things because they'll say allow them to continue to cut, allow them to continue to have that, to take it away. It's something that they have to gradually wean themselves off. That's the weirdest thing ever, to have to allow that to happen. Yes. With other children in the house who are seeing that happen. Trying to juggle that, but then eventually she went on to pens, drawing beautiful artwork on her.
It's having to trust in the professionals.
Yes.
It's a bit like drugs, isn't it? Like with heroin, if you're injecting, they wouldn't say, well, let's just stop injecting. They usually get them to smoke first. Let's wean them off the habit. And because habits are so difficult to break, sometimes, and you can feel so bad when you stop, and then you you go back into it.
Yeah.
Because then you can feel so bad about it that you'll just carry on doing it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But as a mom, to say, what would I say to people? Take it seriously. You've got to listen to your children. Try and watch. Try and stay connected to them. In when you're communicating, and just be patient.
Yeah, loads of patience, and don't feel hopeless.
Yeah.
Because when you feel that things can change, so will your children.
I always think of that. I love that visual that you get from the aeroplane. If there's aeroplane and there's turbulence, and it's a bit scary, and the passengers are all freaking out, and but they look to the air hostesses, and if the air hostesses are smiling and still passing on the duty free, and can I get you this, and what do you like, a sick bag?
Yes.
You just think actually the plane's okay, we'll land and everything will be fine. If there was turbulence and the air hostesses were freaking out and they were in a bad place,
you'd freak out
more. And that is the scenario as a parent.
Yeah.
We as parents have got to be grounded.
Yes.
Able to support their children in this turbulence that they are in. Yeah. But we stay focused, solid, doing, this is breakfast, this is what's happening at breakfast, this is where we're going on to. Staying in the routine, keeping that stability while they are out of control.
Yes, which is
easier said than done.
Hard when you're actually doing it.
Yes,
that's
it is.
In anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
When any child is acting out in any way, it's really hard to keep that boat steady almost. To keep the aeroplane going at a steady speed.
Well, I think for me, I think the shocking, horrid reality was where it could go.
Mm.
And that was an awful, desperate place, and I didn't want it to go there. Mm. So I had to get myself support. I had to keep myself fit. So I went running. I used to, used to watch the drink. I used to watch the alcohol. I wouldn't allow myself to, plummet into a dark place, or I had to try and keep strong and keep to a routine that she knew I wasn't going to go anywhere. I'm here. I'm going to look after you.
Must have been so hard, especially on your own.
I wouldn't have had it any other way, Jess.
I know. But it was hard. But it was, so important to make sure that you're right. I think is the most important. And be so self-aware to understand that when I am feeling angry.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm feeling angry that you're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sad that you're doing this. I am avoiding, and that's when your friends need to come in, because a lot of parents will just completely avoid because they're hoping it's just going to be a passing phase.
Well,
I think it's habit forming, and habits are can be difficult.
Well, that was possibly my initial response when it first started. Would be, oh, for God's sake, attention seeking. Yeah, whatever. Go on, then off you go. But you never imagine it's going to. And then to think that it's there and it could get even worse.
Yeah.
It can always get worse.
Well, yeah, because they start reaching out on the internet, don't they?
Yeah.
They start reading all the blogs, and then they get very much kind of influenced by what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure that there's some bloggers that they go to that might be helpful, but I know there's just as many that aren't.
Because encourage it.
Because or just keeping them in that dark place. Oh, I cut myself such and such. I did that, and it's that normalisation which some people find comfortable, but it's that normalisation that keeps you stuck in that swimming pool of dark place and forgetting what the light looks like almost.
Yes. I mean, and that's been an interesting thing. What now that we're out of that dark place, it's now being safe with your negative emotions, knowing that they're not going to take you there, and still being able to know that you can still be sad, you can still have those, but it will just sit with it. Just sit and just think, what's that all about? Oh, I feel lonely, actually. I feel in a bit of rejection. Right? How can we work that out? Come on, and helping them to understand and not fear and not avoid, not go into avoidance. So you think you've conquered it, but we're always needing tweaking, and it's only with our friendships and staying connected with the people who care and look after you and nurture you that you're able to...
And forgive yourself when you get it wrong.
Yeah. And we do. I do, I still do.
What?
Get it wrong. And then I have to go, no. Get better. But I do, and I have to... And
we're getting it wrong until we die. That's parenting, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as long as we can forgive ourselves and keep moving on... And
and I think, you know what... Because I do that now, I'm more forgiving of others.
Yes.
That allows me, because I forgive myself and kind of, smart, what you doing, Billy, and it's quite gentle. I don't chastise myself. I just, okay. And I'm that way with.
Yeah, not as judgmental.
Not at all.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. It's a bit tough one, that wasn't it? I don't know, all those tears, blimey, didn't know where that came from.
It was a hard time, wasn't it?
It was very hard. And I think for parents, it's a desperate time to watch your children suffer.
Yeah.
And to work out...
So visibly.
Yeah.
You can kind of avoid it a bit and just think, it's just teenagers when they're not showing any visible signs other than just retreating in themselves.
Yeah.
But I think we always have to be a bit on kind of... Well, we just have to, like you say, we just got to be connected, haven't we?
Yeah.
And notice, you look a bit sad or you look a bit this, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Not like, or you look a bit sad, I'm not feeling very good. Right, okay, what can we do to make it better?
Yeah.
I think we have to say, it's okay, things will change. They always do. And listen.
I know.
Listening is something that I get told that I don't do enough of.
Oh, you do. You're very good.
My children sometimes like to say something different.
You are.
It's amazing how much listening they like to have, really.
Yes. Well, it's that different, isn't it? Listening to respond with what... I want to say this next.
Yeah. Listening to work out what to say next rather than listening to understand.
Yes.
Always trying to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, which is what I'm always saying to my kids. Imagine what it's like in their shoes.
Yes. I know. Well, my heart goes out to parents and children who are self-harming, because you've got to have got yourself into quite a dark place to be doing that. But there is hope. There is. It can change, and when it starts to change, have the patience to let it, and keep yourself looking after yourself.
I sometimes wonder that just with some quite a few adolescents that I work with, it's not necessarily that they're in a massively dark place. Some of them, it's just a way of dealing with a feeling that they've had that's become quite normalised.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It's not always like in a really, really swimming about at the bottom of the pit, that dark place. Sometimes it's some kind of quite normal teenage feelings, but because it's kind of accepted that this is a way to deal with it, they give it to go.
Yes,
and then it becomes in a habit.
Yeah, sometimes I've heard that they don't have the words to verbalise their feelings, so they can't communicate that. They feel it, but they don't know how to, verbalise. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't have the space to.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because we are living in such fast times.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a bit of a sad chat.
That was a one, yeah.
You're right with it. You're right.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Should we switch it off, Jin? Right.